saya bagi link Google Slide. So, Google Slide ke PDF lagi senang. Saya rasa kalau file PDF dia lagi kecil kot. So, saya bagi file PDF so that Rahil boleh buka PDF version. Okay, Rahil boleh buka PDF version. Yes, size PDF lagi kecil. Saya bagi juga sekejap ya. Oh, sorry. Kalau bagi presentation size dia besar. Okay, nanti kejap ya. Saya pas kat Rahil dulu. Alright. Okay, sekejap ya. Rahil check out your Telegram. Oh, okay, right. Your PDF, personal PDF ya. Sebab kadang-kadang kan saya tunjuk jawapan, kadang-kadang saya tunjuk soalan, takut Rahim tak sempat nak tengok. Okay, now untuk respiration, first we
Excuse me, cikgu.
Ya?
Sorry cikgu, saya dengan Alia pukul 9 nanti kita orang kena pergi ada kelas cikgu sekolah kami buat.
Oh, boleh. So macam mana, nak tangguh dulu ke macam mana? Nak half an hour lepas kita buat kelas hari lain?
Kalau teacher nak
tak
proceed
apa,
tak apa, kami kena keluar kejap ni.
Kami keluar.
Oh, okay. Oh, kenapa sekejap? Cik, dah banyak tanya pula saya ni. Okay. Tak apa. So I think you guys can refer to the recording, insyaAllah. Boleh?
Boleh cikgu.
Boleh.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. Thank you. So, okay, I hope Rahil sudah dapat PDF. Rahil boleh buka ke PDF tu?
Dah boleh cikgu.
Okay, good. Ya, Rahil?
Thank you cikgu.
Okay. Alright. So, dalam pandangan kita, there are two types of metabolic reaction. One is the building up reaction, which is called anabolic reaction. Kenapa building up? Sebab anabolic atau anabolism is a reaction where we combine small molecules into one big molecules. This particular process uses energy. Another type of reaction is catabolism. Catabolism is a process where we break down large molecule to produce smaller molecule. This particular process releases energy. Okay, itu basic dia. Now, as we have discussed various processes in our body dari kita form 1 sampai kita form 4, based on this picture, can you give 3 uses of energy in the body of this particular person? Ini adalah under objective the necessities of energy in our body. Okay, sementara kita tunggu azan isyak habis kan. Okay, azan pertama solat isyak dekat area sini dah habis. So saya proceed lah ya. Okay, sekejap. Saya besarkan sikit skrin ni baru nampak jawapan semua orang. Okay, I agree. I agree with your first answer. Saya apa kalau Rahil nanti nak tulis boleh tulis dalam chat Google Meet tu ya. Okay, so I agree with your answer. Memang ada indication kat situ daripada soalan kan. Dia ada tunjuk gambar thermometer tu kan. So, yang pertama ialah untuk regulate body temperature. Okay, so to regulate body temperature tu, okay, cadangan saya tambah sikit. Regulate body temperature at what temperature? Regulate body temperature sama dengan room temperature ke? Atau bila regulate body temperature tu, kita nak regulate body temperature pada suhu berapa? Itu jawapan yang lebih cantik lah. Okay, okay, that is number one. Number two, okay, number two. Okay, if you mention movement of substances through cell membrane, tambah sikit via active transport atau through active transport. Kan? Sebab active transport yang guna energy, hot lain tak guna energy. So, saya setuju. Your idea is good. Movement of substance across cell membrane through active transport. Okay, ada yang tulis for cellular respiration. Okay, kejap ya, saya tengok balik soalan. In the body user. Okay, cellular respiration betul, tapi cellular respiration tu specifically membekalkan tenaga untuk apa? Semua proses-proses yang kamu sebut ni, regulate body temperature, movement of substances, itu adalah datang dari, tenaga dia datang dari cellular respiration. So, apa body process yang cellular respiration bekalkan tenaga. So kita nak body process tu. Okay. Muscle contraction. Yes, muscle contraction. Boleh. Muscle contraction, I agree with you. Cellular contraction and relaxation of muscle. Antara lain lagi kita boleh kata masih dia duduk rehat tu mungkin dia dah makan. So for absorption or digestion of food, kan? Absorption, digestion of food, proses digestion tu perlukan tenaga. Cell division, kan? Cell division, walaupun kita duduk dalam keadaan berehat, badan kita sentiasa menghasilkan sel-sel baru. So cell division is also a good answer. Tapi your initial ideas, you shows that you are on the right track. Yes, regulate body temperature, tweak sikit sampai ke 37 degrees Celsius. Movement of substances through active transport, contraction and relaxation of muscle. Cukup 3 suggestion. Alhamdulillah. Okay, good job girls. Okay, saya tunggu seorang lagi tengah update dia punya answer. Lepas tu kita akan pergi kepada types of cellular respiration. Saya berharap untuk chapter ni kamu jangan rujuk buku KBSM ya. Jangan rujuk buku silibus lama sebab silibus lama tu dia dia tak update pasal cellular respiration ni. Cellular respiration ni dia ada tambahan sikit, dia ada pembetulan sikit dari segi konten. So hopefully you guys refer to the newest, atau kalau kamu refer kepada college level textbook pun tak apa, SPM level pun tak apa. Okay, now there are 3 types of cellular respiration. First one is aerobic, anaerobic and fermentation. So which description fits aerobic respiration, anaerobic respiration and also fermentation? Okay, very good. Okay, yang merah. Okay, yang merah memang untuk aerobic respiration. Okay, yang hijau memang untuk salah. Yang merah occurs in the presence of oxygen, hijau occurs in the absence of oxygen, and fermentation and alternative pathway of obtaining energy. For fermentation, it can occur in conditions of limited oxygen or without oxygen. Nanti bila kamu belajar higher level biology, you can see that anaerobic respiration ni can occur in the absence of oxygen because instead of oxygen, they use another substance to replace oxygen. In fact, certain organism yang memang sentiasa buat anaerobic respiration ni, if they are in a environment that is has high concentration of oxygen atau environment yang macam kita sekarang, dia tak boleh survive sebab dia tak ada mechanism to conduct respiration using oxygen. They can only use alternative chemicals, a chemical substance. So, sebab itu dia boleh occur in the absence of oxygen because they use alternative molecule. So, for our syllabus, after this, we are going to focus on aerobic respiration and fermentation. Okay, but before we move further, sedikit assessment. Allah, sorry terlari pula saya punya title tu. Can you complete the table? What do you think? What is the difference between aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration? Okay, ada 3 differences yang kita boleh dapati. Okay. Okay, if you can give at least 2 pun okay. Okay, kalau dapat berikan at least 3 pun okay, tak ada masalah ya. At least 3 pula, 2. If you can give at least 2 pun tak ada masalah. Allah, siapa yang tulis tu? Bagusnya. Okay, I appreciate your effort. Bagusnya dia tulis. Bagus. Teruskan. I really appreciate your effort. Bukan senang nak tulis-tulis ni kan? Okay, yes. Okay. Most of you started with the presence of oxygen. Yeah, good. Aerobic respiration occurs in the presence of oxygen, and aerobic respiration occurs in the absence of oxygen. Okay, production of water, good. In terms of production of water, aerobic respiration produces water, and aerobic respiration does not produce water. Okay, I agree. In terms of energy, aerobic respiration produce a lot of energy atau release a lot of energy, and aerobic respiration release less energy. Okay, saya terima, boleh. Cukuplah, dah cukup 3 kan? Okay, so number 1, presence of oxygen. Aerobic respiration occurs in the presence of oxygen. Anaerobic respiration occurs in the absence of oxygen. Okay, number two, production of water. Aerobic respiration produce water, and aerobic respiration does not produce water. And in terms of amount of energy, aerobic respiration produces uh, a lot of energy compared to anaerobic respiration. Okay lah. Okay ya. So ini sampel answer daripada Najwa. Okay, thank you Najwa. Good job. Okay. I appreciate that you try very hard to write your answer. Kegigihan tu terserlah. Oh, okay, bagus-bagus. Okay, thank you so much everyone for your submission. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. Okay, sekarang ni kita dah kenal there are three types of respiration. Kita berkenalan dulu dengan aerobic respiration. Okay, aerobic respiration, there are two stages. The first stage occurs in cytoplasm. The process is, sekejap ya. Saya lupa nak tukarkan dia jadi boleh draw. Sekejap ya. Okay, you may draw on this slide. Boleh lengkapkan slide ini ya. Okay, apa yang sebut tadi? Okay, aerobic respiration occurs in two stages. The first stage occurs in cytoplasm, and the second stage occurs in the mitochondrion. So the first stage is glycolysis. The second stage is oxidation of pyruvate. So as you can see here in this diagram, daripada satu glucose molekul ni akan dipecahkan menjadi two pyruvate molecules. So satu glucose molecule pecah bahagi dua jadi two pyruvate molecules, and then the pyruvate molecules move into the mitochondrion where the pyruvate molecules undergo oxidation. So bila dia undergo oxidation, apakah dia punya rasa nak tergelak pula sebab saya lupa padam dia punya jawapan kat atas tu ya. Okay, when oxidation of pyruvate occurs, it produces carbon dioxide, water, and also energy. The amount of energy produced, berapa banyak amount of energy produced? Boleh cari tak apakah nombornya? If you want to write H2O, you have to be consistent ya. Maknanya kalau nak tulis H2O, before that kena tulis CO2 lah. Okay. Do you know how much energy is produced? Berapa jumlah tenaga yang dihasilkan? Yes, very good. 2898 kilojoule of energy. So biasanya kalau kita tulis kita tulis dia punya reaction, kita akan tulis produce energy kurungan 2898 kilojoule tenaga. Okay, this is the easy part. Okay, this is the easy part. Kamu pun memang tahu dia punya reaction, dah biasa dengan dia punya reaction actually. Okay, now let's take a look at the next step. Sekarang kita tahu this is a type of catabolic reaction, catabolism, where large molecule, which is the glucose molecule, is okay. Okay, saya boleh sambung ya. Sorry, wifi saya terputus pula tadi. Okay, saya ulang balik. Tadi dalam equation tadi, saya tengah present ya. Okay, saya memang tengah present dah Google Meet kan? Sorry. Oh yes, okay, saya memang tengah present dalam Google Meet. Saya sambung ya. Okay, now previously we have stated that the amount of energy produced is 2,898 kilojoule of energy, which is used to force adenosine diphosphate to combine with another inorganic phosphate to produce adenosine triphosphate. So adenosine triphosphate ni is highly unstable. Dia sangat unstable. Dia tak sabar-sabar untuk putuskan ikatan satu phosphate tu to be donated to other structures or other substance. So this is what we observe. Adenosine triphosphate will release atau will break the high energy bond, producing back to return to its original condition, which is adenosine diphosphate, and release the phosphate to the substance that needed the energy. For example, ini yang kita belajar semasa active transport hari tu. Adenosine triphosphate approach carrier protein, one phosphate bind to the carrier protein, and then bila one phosphate combine with the carrier protein, adenosine diphosphate move away from the carrier protein. Kerja dia dah habis. The molecule has already give energy, transfer energy to the carrier protein, then carrier protein boleh berubah bentuk, boleh buat kerja dia. Carrier protein change the shape to do its job. So this is what happened. That is the use of energy released by the cellular respiration, aerobic respiration inside the mitochondrion. So anak-anak, based on your understanding, okay, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 substances here: galactose, lactose, sucrose, fructose, and cellulose. There are 5 substances in the purple box on top there. Which one is a good substrate to replace glucose in cellular respiration? First, you circle your choice, and in the grey box below, can you explain why you choose that particular substance? It can be more than one ya. Kalau pilih satu pun tak ada masalah. But if you choose more than one pun tak ada masalah. Okay. So kalau kita nak buat cellular respiration, which substance that we will use? Okay. Untuk replace glucose. Katalah glucose tak ada, kita guna substance apa yang lebih kurang macam glucose. Cuba ingat balik chapter 4. Mengenai carbohydrate, there are few types of carbohydrates: monosaccharide, disaccharide, polysaccharide. So that is a good start. Okay, relate back, glucose ni dalam kumpulan apa? Okay, ingat balik, glucose ni dalam kumpulan apa? Okay, very good. I can see your answer already. So memilih mana satu is 1 mark and your explanation is 1 mark. Ya, sebab itu markah dia 2 tau. Okay, pilih tu 1 markah. Explanation 1 markah ya. So here are a few example. Okay, here are a few example. Okay, ini adalah explanation daripada Nisa. Okay, Nisa memilih galactose and fructose because both are monosaccharide. Very good. Okay, I agree with your answer. 2 markah for you. Galactose, fructose and also glucose are the 3 types of monosaccharide. So if we want to replace glucose, we can replace it with fructose and also galactose. Okay. Okay, sekejap ya, saya tengok. Alright. So tinggal okay, the answer, I agree with you, the answer is galactose and fructose because both are monosaccharides. Okay. Cellulose kita reject sebab dia adalah polysaccharide. Lactose dengan sucrose adalah disaccharide. Sebab itulah kita tak boleh accept. Oh, sekejap. Saya sepatutnya besarnya Sarah tulis. Sangat jelas. Dari jauh boleh nampak ya. Bagus-bagus. Okay, now let's take a look at fermentation. Okay, let's take a look at fermentation. So fermentation, can you complete this statement? What is fermentation? Okay, it is the something breakdown of glucose in conditions of, okay, apakah condition dia, syarat-syarat untuk fermentation berlaku? Okay. Okay, good. It is an incomplete breakdown of glucose in conditions of, nampak ya, condition dia tu plural. So ada 2 condition kat situ. Yes, I agree with you all. First is limited oxygen. Second is without oxygen. Alhamdulillah, very good. Okay, good. Okay, good. Good timely submission. Amira, are you okay? Sekejap, Amira ke tadi yang nak keluar sekejap tu? Oh ya, Amira tadi nak keluar sekejap ya. Okay. Alia pula dah nak keluar ke?
Lambat sikit ke teacher?
Okay. Alright. Take your time ya, no worries. Alright, so let's take a look at the next one. Kamu dah kenal fermentation tu apa? Okay, kita pengenalan sikit. Nak tengok kamu ingat ke tak? Okay, so there are 2 types of fermentation. The first type of fermentation is conducted by yeast and plants. The second type of fermentation is conducted by the bacteria, lactobacillus, and also human muscle cell. So fermentation occurs without atau during limited oxygen because it does not require the process inside. It does not conduct oxidation of pyruvate. So nama pun oxidation kan, so it requires oxygen over there. Therefore fermentation only uses glycolysis. Okay, where the pyruvate produced will undergo either alcohol fermentation or lactic acid fermentation. Dia tak masuk dalam mitochondria, dia jadi fermentation. Kenapa tak masuk dalam mitochondria? Oxidation of pyruvate cannot occur because there is not enough oxygen. Oxygen tidak mencukupi. Okay, all of you have submitted. Okay, tak apa. Tulis dulu. One more person sedang on the way nak tulis. Okay.
Excuse me teacher.
Ya, saya Nisa.
Apa pyruvate tu apa sebenarnya?
Pyruvate tu adalah sejenis molekul yang ada 3 karbon. Kan glukos dia ada 6 karbon kan. So during glycolysis we split the glucose into 2. Split into 2 tu maksud dia apa? Bahagi 2 6 karbon tu, satu molekul 3 karbon, satu lagi molekul 3 karbon. So molekul 3 karbon tu kita panggil pyruvate. Tapi itulah dalam syllabus form 4 kita tak actually belajar dia punya, kita tahu glukos C6H12O6 kan, so kita tak belajar pyruvate tu ialah C3H3O4. Saya tak berapa sure, tapi gitulah. Pyruvate tu adalah molekul yang ada 3 karbon. So bila aerobic respiration berlaku, each of these 3 carbons will be split into 3 carbon dioxide. So mula ada 6 karbon, lepas tu ada 3 karbon, lepas tu ada jadi 1 karbon. That is catabolism. Dari big molecule yang ada 6 karbon into a smaller molecule with 3 carbons and becomes a smaller molecule inside the mitochondrion which only have 1 carbon. Okay, adakah saya menjawab soalan Nisa?
Faham teacher.
Alright, good. Okay, tak apa. Jangan pening-pening sekarang. Hari ni untuk level kita fahamkan dia punya basic dulu. Nanti bila kamu pergi A-level ke, kamu pergi buat Australian matriculation ke, buat SAT ke, kamu akan belajar step by step glycolysis tu dan step by step pyruvate oxidation tu. So you can see what are the molecular arrangement yang terlibat masa tu. Okay, now let's take a look at alcohol fermentation dulu. So alcohol fermentation is the incomplete breakdown of glucose to become ethanol, carbon dioxide and also energy, and the amount of energy produced is only 210 kilojoule because the breakdown is incomplete. Okay, the breakdown is incomplete, the breakdown of glucose. So untuk yeast, kita tahu it is used in the making of beer and wine. So yeast dicampurkan bersama-sama dengan fermented, dicampurkan bersama-sama dengan jus anggur and then placed inside an environment with limited oxygen. Sebab itulah dia letak dalam barrel. So barrel ni have very limited oxygen untuk induce an aerobic respiration for yeast. So the product is wine, basically jus anggur with high content of ethanol. Beer pula, beer guna maize tak silap saya. So dia sama juga konsep dia, letak yeast, letak dalam larutan yang kaya, larutan sekejap, beer barley ke maize ya? Sekejap ya. Beer Okay. Ya. Okay, barley, silap, maize pula. Okay, beer dibuat daripada barley. So larutan barley have high concentration of glucose. So yeast will combine with barley solution and then place inside a very limited oxygen environment and induce an aerobic respiration. So kita nak byproduct ethanol tu. Tapi pada masa yang sama, kita juga guna yeast untuk dapatkan byproduct carbon dioxide. Therefore, it makes the dough rise. So nak buat donut boleh, nak buat roti boleh. In fact, there is one PBL you have to do for this particular chapter kan. Yang kamu kena buat satu fermented food product, lepas tu kena market dan sebagainya lah. Hopefully you are doing that project because it is a very good experience for you. Okay, now untuk soalan saya pada slide ini, untuk plants, in what situation do you think plants will conduct this type of cellular respiration, which is alcohol fermentation? What is the reason? Okay. In what situation do you think plant will conduct this type of cellular respiration? Why? Okay, pada keadaan yang macam mana? Apa perubahan dalam persekitaran tu yang menyebabkan pokok terpaksa buat alcohol fermentation? Okay. Okay, okay. Let's when it is in let's yes, good. Dia punya situation ialah in waterlogged condition. Macam dalam keadaan banjir ke kan. So saya setuju itu that is point number one. Point number two, yes, because in waterlogged condition there is less water can dissolve into the soil kan. Less water can dissolve into the soil. Okay, waterlogged condition, less oxygen can dissolve into the soil. Pandai. Okay. Sebabnya kalau dalam keadaan tak ada air, oxygen can freely move between the soil particles kan? Tapi sekarang ni the presence of water adds another boundary for the oxygen to dissolve into. So akar pokok-pokok yang dalam keadaan waterlogged condition ni tak semua pokok have the ability to absorb dissolve oxygen in waterlogged condition. Kecuali lah pokok akuatik. Pokok akuatik, aquatic plants macam pokok-pokok tenggelam, macam seaweed, hydrilla, tu tak ada masalah lah pokok-pokok yang kita letak dalam aquarium tu kan. Oh yes, very good. Certain types of plants can withstand the high concentration of ethanol produced from alcohol fermentation. However, most plants cannot. Okay, dia buat alcohol fermentation dan high concentration of alcohol tu adalah harmful pada pokok tu pula. Except for several species lah macam paddy plants, macam yang dicadangkan oleh Alia ni kan. Okay. Alright, very good. Okay. So let's take a look at a sample question. Okay, so the picture on the right side of the screen here shows paddy plant and tomato plant in a waterlogged soil. Kalau kita tengok gambar, tomato plant is shown to be under stress but not paddy plant. Explain why. Okay, explain why. Okay, kenapa kita nampak pokok tomato tu nampak wilted. Wilted tu macam under stress lah. Okay. Kenapa pokok padi elok je segar, tak ada apa pun kan. Berbulan-bulan dalam waterlogged condition okey je kan. questions within two context. Saya nampak kebanyakan apa jawapan kat sini. Okay, you opted for explaining paddy plant punya konteks lah. Okay, so paddy plants can can withstand paddy plants carry out alcohol fermentation and has higher tolerance towards toxicity of ethanol. Okay, okay, sorry for wifi saya terputus lagi. Ish. Okay, so saya setuju kamu punya the way you think is on the right track. Okay, asalnya kedua-dua pokok tomato, both paddy plants and tomato plants conduct alcohol fermentation. Yes, but I agree with what you have stated here. Macam Amira sebut and then macam Amira sebut lepas tu Nisa pun ada sebut kan, which is paddy plant has higher tolerance to high concentration of ethanol. Okay, paddy plants have higher tolerance towards ethanol. Okay, so itu point number 2. Okay, point dia ada sampai up to 5 to 6 ya, so don't worry. Okay, so nombor 3. Okay, nombor 3, paddy plant. Okay, paddy plant can produce a lot of alcohol dehydrogenase enzyme that can break down ethanol molecules into carbon dioxide. Tak tulis non-toxic pun tak apa. Ya Sarah nak tanya apa? Oh tak ada, tertekan ya. I mute microphone tadi. Okay, sorry. Okay ya. So nombor 4 tadi, paddy plants can produce alcohol dehydrogenase enzyme to break down, number 5, to break down ethanol into carbon dioxide, number 5. Okay. Number 6. Sekejap ya. Saya tengah baca. Okay, number 6. Meanwhile, tomato plants does not has lower tolerance towards ethanol. Boleh, tak ada masalah. Okay, ada 6 point kat situ ya. Saya setuju. Markah dia berapa 3 je kan? Okay, markah dia 3. So ada 6 points. So number 1, both tomato and alcohol plants conduct alcohol fermentation. However, paddy plants have higher tolerance towards ethanol compared to tomato plant. Nombor 3, kenapa dia higher? Dia dah lah higher tolerance. Number 3, paddy plant can produce enzyme called alcohol dehydrogenase. Number 4, this particular enzyme convert ethanol to become carbon dioxide. So number 5 kita juga boleh kata this will reduce the concentration of ethanol in the paddy plant. Therefore number 6, sekejap. Okey, sekejap ya. Saya cari sampel jawapan. Okey. Ini satu sampel yang baik daripada Najwa. Okey. Okay, this is also a good example. Okay, dekat sini saya rasa ada 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 4 to 5 points dalam jawapan yang Najwa bagi ni. So, saya biasanya pemeriksa akan tulis maximum 3. Okay, the rest. Okay, the rest pun sudah dapat 3 markah. Dah dapat maksimum 3 markah dah. Alright, good. Good. Okay, ada satu jawapan ni saya nak saya personal message, personal feedback so that you can add. Okay, tambah lagi satu point ya. Saya tulis dekat. Tambah satu point lagi. Alright. Please check your feedback ya. Okay, kalau tak ada feedback tu maknanya dah cukup markah dah. Tak ada masalah. Okay, now yang setakat ini anak-anak kita dah tengok aerobic respiration dan alcohol fermentation in yeast and also in plants. Sekarang ni kita nak tengok pula lactic acid fermentation. Okay, sekarang ni kita nak tengok pula lactic acid fermentation. Now, let's take a look at this graph. Sekejap. Pada masa yang sama, saya juga akan tunjuk saya punya screen ya. Okay. So, you can sambil kamu lengkapkan kamu punya boxes. Okay, saya explain ya. Okay. Okay, let's take a look. Saya gunakan highlighter warna kuning. Okay, anak-anak. When we discuss about lactic acid fermentation in human muscle cell, kita sentiasa membandingkan at the beginning and during the exercise, semasa exercise bermula sampailah semasa exercise tu berlangsung, and then kita bandingkan dengan, we compare with at the end of exercise. So anak-anak, when we conduct vigorous activity, okay, when we conduct vigorous activity, it requires a lot of energy. Therefore, our muscles requires a lot of oxygen to conduct cellular respiration to produce enough energy for muscle contraction. Itu dia punya asas. So, at the beginning of the exercise, as we can see here, kenapa rupa dia macam ni? Okay, sepatutnya anak-anak, the amount of oxygen needed by the muscle is volume dia adalah sebanyak ni. Sepatutnya. Okay, sepatutnya penuh kawasan dalam square ni ialah the amount of oxygen needed by all the cells to conduct vigorous exercise, vigorous activity. Tapi disebabkan the limitations of our respiratory process, our blood circulatory system cannot provide enough oxygen for all the cellular respiration. So, berapa banyak oxygen that cannot be provided to is in this area. Okay, berapa volume oxygen yang tak dapat dipenuhi itu indicated by this pink area. Okay, berapa volume. So, that particular volume of oxygen yang tak dapat dipenuhi, kita nyatakan, kita bagi term itu sebagai oxygen debt atau lack of oxygen atau oxygen deficiency state. Okay, so since there is not enough oxygen needed to conduct cellular respiration, glucose cannot be broken down completely. Therefore, our muscle cells have to rely on glycolysis to break down glucose, and the pyruvate molecules produced from glycolysis will then converted to become lactic acid. So when the lactic acid is at high level of concentration, accumulated this high level of concentration ni stuck dekat kita punya muscle, it can cause muscle fatigue and also muscle cramp. So based on the graph, what happens during vigorous exercise, the rate of oxygen use exceeds atau more than the rate of oxygen supplied by the blood circulatory system. Very good. The rate of oxygen use, kejap ya, saya tunjuk dekat sini. So pada petak yang pertama, what you have written there is correct. The rate of oxygen use is more than the rate of oxygen supplied by the blood circulatory system. Exceeds pun boleh, tak ada masalah. So, the muscle is in oxygen deficiency state atau oxygen debt. Kita boleh ambil apa istilah yang ada pada graf. Okay, jadi tak cukup oksigen. Maka kita punya muscle cell have to rely on glycolysis only to break down glucose into pyruvate, and then pyruvate will be processed, converted into lactic acid, and this lactic acid will stay inside the muscle, and at high concentration it will cause muscle fatigue, rasa kelesuan, okay, muscle fatigue, rasa lesu pada muscle, atau muscle cramp, rasa cramp lah. Okay, cramp, muscle tu contract je, dia tak nak relax. So kita rasa cramp, kita punya anggota badan tu kena macam kena tarik. Okay, macam kena tarik. Okay. Alright, okay, semua dah lengkap kan? Very good. Okay, seterusnya, okay, sekarang ni apa yang terjadi selepas vigorous activity stop? So kita punya respiratory system can now breathe properly. We can now breathe properly at a very we can inhale deeply, that will increase the amount of oxygen enters our body. Okay, selepas kita dah habis vigorous exercise, we can breathe deeply and also which subsequently increases oxygen intake. Okay, therefore all of the excess oxygen that can be absorbed by our muscles, supplied by our blood circulatory system and absorbed by our muscle. So our muscle dah dapat oksigen untuk buat apa masa ni? Okay, selepas vigorous activity, we can breathe deeply to supply more oxygen to our muscles. So what will our muscles do with the excess oxygen? Itulah jawapan untuk petak yang pertama.
Excuse me, teacher.
Ya, saya.
Sorry teacher, saya dan Alia kena terpaksa left sekarang sebab kita ada kelas.
Silakan.
Okay.
Sorry teacher, thank you teacher.
It's okay. I understand. Tak apa. Yeah. Alright. Yes, I agree with you all. Okay, meh kita buka gambar lagi besar. Okay, when there is excess oxygen, bila oksigen dah ada banyak, we can the muscles in our body will oxidize lactic acid to form carbon dioxide, water and energy. Okay, so when all lactic acid has been converted into carbon dioxide will be removed through our respiratory system. Itulah yang kita katakan sebagai oxygen debt has been repaid. Okay, oxygen debt has been repaid. Okay, ini senang saja Pak ni sebab dia apa yang saya tanya ni directly ada dalam kita punya references. Okay, now let's try applying what we have learned about lactic acid fermentation and also aerobic respiration within a different context. Dalam konteks soalan pula kita nak apply macam mana. Okay, kita try soalan yang pertama. Okay, take a look at the first diagram. Okay. Diagram 3 shows individual P sitting down, individual Q running in a 200 meter sprint event. Can you identify the type of respiration for P and Q? Okay, the type of respiration that occurs in P and also Q. Okay, let's take a look at your answer. Yes. Very good. Sebab P tu dalam keadaan berehat kan. Widat, are you okay? Okay, Widat okay. Atira, are you okay? Okay, Rahil dia guna PDF. Najwa ada, Nisa ada. Amira tadi macam nak keluar. Okay. Okay, Widat pun ada. Alright. Good. Okay. P is aerobic respiration. Q is fermentation. Anak-anak, kalau kamu jumpa soalan yang similar dalam past year question, past year question akan bagi Q ni anaerobic respiration ya. So dalam sukatan kita sekarang ialah lactic acid fermentation. Ini adalah yang lebih tepat lah. Silibus dulu kita panggil Q ni sebagai anaerobic respiration. Okay, so kalau kamu terjumpa soalan yang similar dalam past year, kita kena betulkan lah dekat situ sepatutnya lactic acid fermentation. Okay, semua orang dah update. Okay, let's take a look at the next question. Okay, macam biasalah bila soalan structure ni dia start dengan naming and then dia mula naik ke high level. Okay, can you differentiate between the two processes? Tadi kita dah bagi nama. Boleh tak kita differentiate between aerobic respiration dan lactic acid fermentation? Can you, sebab markah dia 2, so need to have 2 differences lah. Okay. 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 Najwa, itu kita baru kira sebagai difference one ya. Sebab Najwa dah sebut aerobic respiration apa, fermentation lactic, manakala fermentation of lactic acid apa. So dua ayat tu baru kira satu sebab you are comparing one aspect. You need to add another difference. Okay, Najwa kena tambah lagi satu. Okay, good. Teruskan. You are on the right track. Bagus, bagus. Tambah lagi. Okay, the next one. Okay. Nisa membandingkan production of water. Aerobic respiration produce water. Fermentation does not produce water. Amount of energy. Aerobic respiration, 2898 kilojoule of energy. Fermentation of lactic acid is 150 kilojoule energy. Okay, good. Kenapa dekat sini? Okay, dekat skrin saya nampak 4. Alright, now the next one. Okay, Sarah juga sama idea dia. Presence of oxygen is difference number 1. Difference number 2, product dia. Okay, you compare in terms of product. Okay, I agree with you. You got 2 marks. Without panjangnya dia tulis. Bagus. Okay, banyak idea. Alright. Okay, the first difference sudah dapat in the first sentence. Good with that. The second one, you compare production of water. Okay, dapat dah second difference. And then you compare with the number of energy, the amount of energy produced. So amount of energy produced. Yes, the amount of energy produced is 150. 210 tu yeast punya alcohol fermentation punya tenaga. 210 tu alcohol fermentation, lactic acid ialah 150 kilojoule sahaja. So in a sense, fermentation in plants and yeast is more efficient compared to kita punya masa lah, in a sense lah. Okay, good everyone. Now let's take a look at the next question 7. Can you write the word equation for the type of respiration that occur in P? Okay, apakah dia punya word equation? Okay, so nak kata apa ya? Word equation ni, since it apa nak kata ya, word equation ni penuh semua substance, baru boleh dapat satu markah. Dia kejam sikit lah kat sini, dia very particular. So tak perlu tulis pyruvate because pyruvate tu ialah molekul perantara. Okay, so bila word equation kita terus summarize semua sekali. Pyruvate kita tak payah tulis ya. So dia punya equation ialah glucose plus oxygen, aero, produce carbon dioxide plus water plus energy kurungan 2898 kilojoule. Pyruvate tak payah tulis. Okay, sebab dia adalah summary of the whole process. Okay. Okay, last question regarding this P and Q individual ni. Okay. So at the end of the 200 meter sprint event, the man in situation Q experienced painful leg cramps due to muscle fatigue. Explain why muscle fatigue occurs. Kenapa dia mengalami muscle fatigue? Okay, let's see the your answer. Okay, memang memang satu introduction yang baik ya. The rate of oxygen use exceed the oxygen supply. Okay, point 1 dapat satu markah. Kejap, markah dia berapa? 3 Okay, so point number 2, this causes okay, glucose cannot be broken down completely. So point 2 dah dapat. Point 3, the muscles in individual Q have to undergo lactic acid fermentation. Okay, dah dapat dah 3 markah. Okay, bila dia satu lagi point ialah the muscles in individual Q is in oxygen deficiency atau oxygen debt. Dah dapat dah menyatakan istilah oxygen debt tu dapat dah. Markah ke point yang keempat. Point yang kelima, high concentration of lactic acid causes muscle fatigue. Okay. Without tulis, produce lactic acid accumulates until it reach a level of concentration that can cause muscle cramp. Okay, good. Dapat 3. Sarah pun dapat 3. I think you already get 5 points over there. Tapi saya akan tulis dapat maximum 3. Nisa, good, dapat maximum 3. Najwa, good. Good. Habiskan Najwa, habiskan. The lactic acid accumulated causes muscle fatigue atau muscle cramp. Okay. Ada dua lagi soalan saya nak bagi. Soalan ni memang berkaitan balik dengan pasal alcohol fermentation tadi. Tapi alcohol fermentation tadi soalan pasal pokok padi kan. Sekarang saya tanya soalan alcohol fermentation untuk yeast. Okay, take a look at this graph. So dalam graph ini ialah graph yeast population. Okay, yeast population versus time. Okay, kalau kamu tak nampak, point P tu ialah pada population yeast at the pada jam yang ke-6, at the 6th hour. Point Q is population yeast at the 10th hour. Can you describe the changes in the population of yeast at point P dengan point Q? Can you describe the changes in the population of yeast at point P and point Q? Masa tu population dia dalam keadaan apa? What is the relationship that you can see there? Okey kena nyatakan ya yang ayat yang kamu tengah sebut ni ialah dekat point P ke dekat point Q? Okey, pada point P ke pada point Q? Oh, saya baru perasan taman perumahan depan rumah saya tak ada elektrik. Oh, sajalah nak cerita sambil kamu buat ni ya. Semalam rumah saya the whole neighborhood tak ada elektrik. Lepas tu adalah orang ambil gambar dari jauh, one of the houses have electric. So many people buat speculation kenapa dia ada elektrik. Ada yang kata rumah orang kayangan lah, apalah kan. One of the speculation is my favourite. Dia kata, ni mesti rumah cikgu ni. Sebab suami isteri dia cikgu, kedua-duanya adalah bagai lilin yang membakar diri. Sebab itulah rumah dia terang benderang. Aduh. Masa tengah-tengah panas dekat rumah tak ada elektrik tu, bila baca tergelak pula seorang-seorang ya. Tapi itulah kisahnya. Tak kenapa dekat area kami ni bergila-gila pula taman tak ada elektrik. Alright. Okay, good. Untuk point P, okay. Point P, okay. Ada dua cara nak tulis. Sama ada you can say the increase in population of at point P, the rate of high rate of population increase, atau apa-apa ayat yang menunjukkan terdapat peningkatan populasi yeast. Tak ada masalah. Apa-apa ayat yang bila saya baca population yeast is increasing at that point of time. Okay. So pada masa tu population dia tengah meningkat. Okay, point number 1. P ya, untuk P. For Q, Untuk Q, masa tu population dia apa? Adakah? Yes, it remains constant. Betulkan sikit ejaan tu. It remains constant. Jadi remains constant pula. Okay, pada point P, there is an increase in yeast population. Pada point Q, the yeast population is constant. Okay, memanglah berlaku cell division, ada reproduction apa semua, but the number of yeast dalam environment tu sama je. Kalau mati satu, reproduction tambah satu je. Macam tu lah. So, remains constant. Okay. Now, our final question, kita dah tahu dia punya pattern. Kita kata point P increasing, point Q constant. Okay. Now, can you relate? Can you explain the changes you have described at point P and point Q? Sorry ada titik pula. Explain the changes you have described at point P and point Q as a guide, as a hint, relate balik dengan kepekatan alkohol dekat bawah ni. At point P, the concentration of alcohol macam mana? So does it affect yeast population? At point Q, the concentration of alcohol tu macam mana? How does it affect the yeast population? Okay. Kan jawab tak apa, dia boleh jalan je, boleh accept. Dekat saya, screen saya ni jalan ya, walaupun wifi saya putus-putus. Okay. So, okay, you are on the right track, Najwa. Good. At point P, the concentration of alcohol increasing. Kenapa? Kenapa? Sebab masa tu yeast tengah buat proses apa? Okay, masa tu yeast tengah buat proses apa? Okay. Okay. Jawapan yang kedua yang saya tengah baca ni, at point P, the alcohol concentration increases, causing the yeast population to increases. Terbalik. At point P, the yeast population increases, barulah alcohol concentration increases. Alkohol tu datang daripada yeast, bukan yeast datang daripada alkohol. So terbalik ya, point satu tu betul kan? At point P, yeast population increases, causing the alcohol concentration increases. So at point Q, alcohol concentration is constant because the yeast population is constant. Okay, markah dia 2 je kan? Okay, markah dia 2 saja. So, okay. So, ini dia punya further explanation lah. Soalan yang sama, kita boleh pecahkan lagi, boleh jadi up to 8 points, 8 points sebenarnya. Okay. So, pada titik P, okay, pada titik P, as you have mentioned before, the at point P, the population of yeast increases, therefore the alcohol concentration increases. This is because at point P, alcohol fermentation occurs at a fast rate. So that itu dah point 3 ya. Point 3, point 4, the production of the production of alcohol is high. Okay, itu untuk point P. Pada point Q tadi kita sebut the population of yeast is constant. Therefore, the amount of alcohol produced, the concentration of alcohol is also constant. Kenapa? Sebab high alcohol content inhibit atau toxic to the growth of yeast. High alcohol content is harmful, toxic atau inhibit the growth of yeast. Therefore, at point Q, the rate of glucose breakdown, the rate of alcohol production is decreases atau at a slow rate. Bukan decreases, sorry, at a slow rate. Okay, pada point P tadi kita sebut high increasing yeast, increasing alcohol concentration because apa tadi? Because the faster oxidation atau breakdown of glucose to produce large amount of alcohol. Okay, and then untuk Q, the population of yeast is constant because high concentration of alcohol is toxic atau harmful atau will inhibit the growth of yeast. Therefore, the breakdown of glucose, the oxidation of glucose is at a slow rate. Okay, ini kalau soalan yang sama, dia convert jadi up to 6 marks. 3 point untuk cerita pasal P, 3 point untuk cerita pasal Q. So keadaan Q tadi tu adalah lebih kurang sama macam kita cerita pasal pokok tomato tadi lah. Okay, keadaan Q tadi lebih kurang macam kita cerita pasal pokok tomato. Okay. Okay, Alhamdulillah, that is all for today. Actually, we have covered all the important points of cellular respiration. We talk about different types of respiration. We have talked about lactic acid fermentation, and we have also talked about alcohol fermentation. So, what do you think of today's class? Oh, saya minta maaf. Saya minta maaf because of the inconsistency of my Wi-Fi connection. Tak tahulah kenapa malam ni jadi macam tu ya. Tapi what do you think? Ada tak part-part yang nak minta saya ulang balik atau macam mana? Okay. Alcohol fermentation in plants tu is hard for you ya. Okay, I take note of that. Kita cuba. Alright. Yang lain okay ya. Sarah, are you okay? Oh, kejap. Okay. Atira, are you okay? Semua okay ya Atira? Alcohol fermentation tu ya. Alright. I take note of that. Tapi untuk seseorang yang cakap alcohol fermentation ada problem, soalan, kamu tahu tak soalan yang saya bagi tadi, question 9, question 10 tu, saya ambil daripada IGCSE punya paper. And you guys answer it beautifully, completely. So, jangan risau sangat ya. Jangan risau sangat. Okay, tak apa. Nanti saya cari lagi soalan nak tengok alcohol fermentation lagi sekali ya. So, okay, alhamdulillah. Thank you so much everyone for your understanding and for your attention. It's